Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of Headlines, Headlocks, and Hijinks. I am Jason the Turtleneck Hilton. With me, as always, is
Legendary Luchador, Gringo freaking Fantastico. There we go. Instead of Seth freaking Rollins or whatever.
I was going to say we threw a freaking in there.
We did this time. This podcast is brought to you by the Combine that's outside of my office window. Combines. Taking down fields everywhere and being loud in your window. Okay, there we go.
So, hey, bro? You have a watch along coming up.
Yeah, we just did one, and now we got another one coming up next. Is it next? Not next week. Is it? It's not this coming Friday. It's the following Friday. Yeah, so it's a week from tomorrow.
Okay, I thought it would. So yeah, so the Friday after this Friday.
Yeah.
Which has a number we could attach to it, just noticing.
November 3rd.
There we go.
Friday, November 3rd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. No, Pacific time. So there you go.
Excellent.
Which I think is like, what, 8 p.m. Mountain time or something?
Sure, we've gone far past what I know about time zones.
I don't know.
I rarely leave this one.
So we got some wrestling to talk about tonight. And
we do. We had some cool debuts, and Twitter was perfectly happy with all of them.
And we decided to be organized for once, so that's good.
Right.
So thanks to you. So let's. So what do we got first? What happened?
Well, did you get to see the debut of Jade Cargill and Lexis King in NXT?
Jade just kind of came out and sat in a chair or something, didn't she?
Yeah, she sat in. The NXT layout is kind of weird. They've got the audience, then slightly above them is like a stage area that they use. It's where Gronk jumped off of.
And Noam Dar was at during the whole UK invitational thingy they were doing.
Yes.
Okay,
and so Jade comes out, she poses with obviously two trainees that take her jacket, and then she just sits in a throne.
Huh. Yeah, I saw that. And the thing was, I missed the debut of Lexis King, which I just want to call him Brian Pillman Jr. because the Lexis King thing, it's not resonating with me just yet. It's going to take a while.
I like that they're at least acknowledging he is Brian Pillman's son.
Yeah, at least they're doing that instead of just being like, oh, no one's ever heard of this guy before. We only saw him on TV 2 years ago.
Right.
Or not even 2 years ago.
Which is so much better than the obvious, let's just call him Taylor McPherson.
I wonder if it was his idea or if it's the WWE Endeavor machine being like, no, we want to have rights to all the intellectual properties we create for our show. So you have to use our intellectual property so we can, we don't want you marketing off of the work that we, even though he's working, he's the one doing the work. It's like, we don't want you capitalizing off the work that you did or whatever. I don't know.
Plus, this is way safer than acknowledging that Braun Breaker is Rick Steiner's son.
Yeah.
Just before Rick Steiner does some not that cool stuff at a convention.
I know, right? Like, that was bad. That was really bad. So,
and that had to be when Braun Breaker just went, really, Dad?
He's like, oh man, come on. It's like at least it wasn't as bad, although it was like, since Braun didn't do it, it wasn't as bad as when the Lars guy, what was that Lars guy?
God. Yeah,
Lars
Sullivan.
Lars Sullivan, yeah, who like all kinds of cringe stuff that guy, like all kinds of like craziness that guy was talking about on social media. Although it was like fucking like 8 years ago or something that he had said it.
You just kept peeling back where he said some what could easily be construed because they were probably homophobic things he said.
Yeah.
And then you peel back a little more and went, wait a minute, you did gay porn? like, I have so many more questions for you now.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that I don't know. Like he apologized for like the things. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, if he had just like went out on Twitter and said, "Oh yeah, yeah," and started saying that terrible shit, then that'd be one thing. But it's like people change, and especially like what was it, like 6, 7, 8 years, something like that.
Oh, like you said, it's almost a decade ago, and if you have to go back a decade to find something someone did wrong, they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, and like I said, people change. Like people feel a certain way and act a certain way, and then they've learned that that's not right. And a lot happens to a person in 10 years.
Oh
You know what I
yes.
mean? So like you can't sit there and go back because they're not. It's not the same person anymore. So I don't know. Anyway, back to Lexus King. I still like
So
think I only think it's like some guy in a crown driving a Lexus.
funny enough, he also got a throne, but it was an interesting entrance because the throne just kind of whooshed onto the stage, and Pillman is sitting in it clearly with his feet not on the ground, like he's trying to do the cool where he's on the side and just sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
But I think that was because he didn't want his feet to get caught in whatever mechanism was moving the chair.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know because I watched Halloween Havoc and I didn't see him, but I watched it on the Hulu version of it. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering if they cut that out
I think
because
they cut it out because of all of Halloween Havoc, this might have been this was definitely an underwhelming spot.
which sucks because it was supposed to be his big debut.
But the problem is, it was fine. Like, there was nothing egregiously wrong with it.
Who did he end up squashing?
I didn't even pay attention to that part.
Just some guy.
Yeah, I skipped any entrance that guy might have had and just went straight to, well, let's see how it ends.
It seems like every time I watch NXT, there's some guy, some worker there that I've never seen before. Like that everyone's cheering for. And it's like, wait a second, I've been watching NXT for like the last 5 weeks, and I've never seen like what was the guy that Dijak was fighting
Eddie
Eddie
Thorpe, yeah.
Eddie Thorpe. Like I had never seen that guy prior to that match. I'm
So,
like, where did this guy come from?
so I think what happens is they also do Level Up in the same arena at the same time
Mm,
as they're filming NXT. So, of course, the fans there get their whole, he's our guy. But if you're a normal person with a 9 to 5, I don't know how you have time for Level Up.
yeah, and I honestly forgot because there's a level up basically the equivalent of AEW Dark.
Level Up was the developmental of the developmental brand.
Jesus.
So this was like, these guys definitely aren't ready.
The cool thing is I thought Eddie Thorpe in that match, he was pretty good. I thought he was a pretty good worker.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this guy's Tatanka 2.0, but I like him. So I like Tatanka too, though. So
Speaking of 2.0, is it just me or is Scarlet kind of becoming Sable 2.0? Not in any of the horrible ways, but more of the carrying crosses kind of getting Mark Marrowed.
yeah, I noticed that. And I'll tell you the one, yeah, because she was with
Shotzi.
Shotzi the whole time, like doing the co-hosting the event, which I thought was weird because that's like all kinds of weird kayfabe breaking right there because it's like I thought that Scarlet was a fucking heel.
And Spooky.
Yeah, and Shotzi was kind of a crazy face. And now they're like besties and that's got all kinds like
Oh, they
I
even
really want to hear about what certain podcasters say about that.
oh, they even brought up that they have a YouTube show where they and other superstars go to haunted mansions and hospitals and whatnot.
They just show up to an old house and Eddie Murphy's in there. That would be funny.
I feel bad, but I actually went to, I think it was an abandoned asylum or something along those lines. And the reason I barely remember what it was, all of my friends, we all kind of split up, and the idea was you stay the night. So I found my spot and I just went to sleep. And everybody else there, oh man, I heard stuff. I heard things move. I heard people talking. What happened to you? I'm like, I had the best freaking nap of my life. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
It was so nice and quiet in here, aside from you guys like screaming like a bunch of weirdos. I
Right,
slept
like,
pretty good.
oh, wait a minute. You heard some guy scream down the hall? Was it this puss over here who kept screaming all night?
That's hilarious. Oh man. Um
But
okay,
hey, with
so
NXT in mind, we have a new NXT Women's Champion.
yeah, I did watch that match. That was a great match. And like I can't ever remember that girl's name. Lyra
Lyra
Valkyrie.
Valkyria.
Valkyria. I'm just like I bet you I wonder if like what's her face, Valkyria or whatever. I bet you she's like not happy about that name.
It's a rough one to remember.
Yeah, because her name's what? Taya Valkyria.
Taya Valkyrie.
Taya Valkyrie.
So she was an actual Valkyrie.
Okay, and then like the other girl's that's just her name, Valkyria.
I guess.
That's so
I
weird.
knew nothing about her before a week ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. And her and Becky Lynch are supposedly like besties and all this other. There's a lot of besties going on in NXT.
And they're telling us about them. Remember when wrestlers, like, you didn't know who was whose friend?
Yeah, because that way they could work together later, and you could buy into it. The kayfabe just goes out the window nowadays. No one gives two craps about kayfabe.
None at all. It's sad, really.
We also had new NXT tag team champions
Oh, that's right.
because Chase U beat the Bada Bing Bada Boom
The
guys.
Italians.
Basically the new iteration of the FBI.
Oh, but I was thinking, what are the odds the belt left Becky Lynch so that Jade could take it from Valkyria?
And you know what? I hope they do that because I hope that they keep Jade in NXT for a while.
Right. But I'm also thinking, not so much Valkyria got the rub from Becky. The women's championship got a huge rub from being on Becky.
Totally, because it really legitimized it because it hadn't had a legitimacy to it since Shayna Baszler, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Because everybody else who'd had it, including Rhea Ripley, she didn't have it that long before she got bumped up to the main roster. Like nobody had it that long. It just kept jumping around everywhere, and Becky got it, and she had it for what, 3 or 4 months.
Oh, and there was that time they basically gutted the NXT women's division. They brought up, oh, who'd they bring up? They formed like Team Bad, Team Submission. Like, yeah, just they took everyone from NXT and they had to start over. I mean, luckily that gave us Rhea Ripley, but
Yeah, that's really weird. Keep noticing
especially,
my screen keeps going dark light, dark light, dark light, and I don't know why.
oh,
Nah,
it's
whatever.
especially weird that not seemingly, it's pretty much confirmed. They don't communicate with Shawn Michaels about what they're doing with his roster.
Yeah,
Like that was how
I don't
Trick
know.
Williams wound up with the North American Championship and then lost it again.
Yeah, that made no sense. Like, why'd they even do that? Like, that didn't. I, I don't. I don't understand that at all.
And
It,
really, you start to realize the frustration of Jim Cornette when he says, "Hey, if you're going to shave my champion's head, could you at least tell me and I could sell some tickets?"
yeah, like seriously, like put it in a match. I don't know. Like NXT is getting better, but it still has a lot of problems.
Yes.
You know, and it's and it rate and to me like NXT it doesn't have the star power that AEW has, but that's on purpose. Like NXT is just, aside from them bringing in people every now and then like Becky Lynch or whoever they decide to bring in.
Or if AEW is going opposite them, they'll bring in The Rock and Steve Austin
and
and
the
John Cena.
Undertaker and the Undertaker, and fuck it, let's bring in Andre the Giant. We'll just get a couple of flashlights and a shovel and have a Weekend at Bernie's match with fucking Andre the Giant. Fuck it. That wasn't
Oh, that
funny.
would be hilarious.
No, it
Vince
was
McMahon,
funny.
I need a really big, tall guy and we'll put him in a singlet. Vince, we don't have anyone that big. Well, get me some little people to stand next to him.
What the hell's Braun Strowman doing? Oh, he lost a significant amount of body mass. He can't do it anymore.
Oh, by the way, real thing that actually almost happened. Vince McMahon decided he wanted the Big Show to look bigger, so he was going to get a bunch of little people to stand around him during a promo.
Oh man, you could have done that. You could have just had him run a spot with Dylan. You know,
Right.
when Dylan was there with Hornswoggle. I mean, it would have been just as good. You don't need to like bring in like mini Mankind and mini Vader and like remember when they used to do that all the time?
Oh, it's just so funny reading it going, I'm not even going to research this because that just sounds like something Vince McMahon would do.
Oh yeah, that's definitely got a Vince written all over it. And I always hated those gimmicks too when they would like someone would cut a promo to the guy they're facing and he would bring out a miniature version of himself and then beat a miniature version of his opponent and then go in the ring and just squash him for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
Like, I always hated that. I was like, what's the point of this? This is silly and stupid. I mean, at least the little person was getting a paycheck. So
even
cool.
as a kid, the most prominent one I remember was JBL brings out Mini Undertaker.
Yeah.
And of course, he's yelling at him like, you forgot to turn on the lights. You forgot to do this. You forgot to roll your eyes. And then just beats him up. Like, what a waste of 20 minutes of my time.
Yeah, I don't know. That stuff was always really dumb. The Kennel from Hell match is better than that shit.
And there was a lot of shit in that kennel from
There really was. I actually didn't mind that match. I thought it was entertaining, but that's because I'm an Al Snow Mark, and I'll live that for the rest of my life. I don't care what anyone says.
Plus, like the match itself was fun to watch. It sounds insanely frustrating for anyone to be in it.
Yeah, the logistics of that alone are just crazy. It's like let's bring as many Matildas and Winstons in here as we can, and then we'll bring Jerry Lee. Sounds like Vince Russo. Well, we're gonna bring it. We're gonna or Vince McMahon's like, wow, get that dog from that Jim Belushi movie. We'll put him in there. Go grab Air Bud. We'll throw him on the other side and go get Matilda and Winston. The Bulldogs used to have Vince. Those dogs passed away a long time ago. I don't care. You're gonna have to find another one and just call it Matilda and Winston. It'll be fine. What do you want, Matilda or Winston? I don't care. Get both.
Well, hey, that's what Jake the Snake kept doing with the snake. So why not?
So that was pretty much Halloween Havoc.
Wait, it finally clicked for me watching it. Did you see the women's matches, the tournament?
No, I did not watch that.
So the girl who comes out with the sash,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, and I keep trying to look this up, and by trying I mean I haven't tried once, but I keep meaning to and just forgetting.
Okay, fair.
I think she was the girl on Tough Enough who was the reigning Miss America or something along those lines while she was competing for it.
Oh, that what's her name? Regan or
something Grace.
Yeah, her name was like Regine or Regan or something like that. I just recently watched that season over again because I wanted to see the scene where Stone Cold berated that poor girl in the ring when he was just like, "What's your favorite match?" And she's like, "I like
Melina versus Alicia Fox."
Yeah, and he's like, "That's your favorite match of all time from WWE. Get out of here!" Like that was the funniest moment of all of Tough Enough. Stone Cold's just like, this person's a freaking moron.
Oh, he even turns with that frustration that a parent shows their child of like, I don't even know how to yell at you. Like, I'm so disappointed. I don't know how to yell at you right now.
Yeah, because didn't Stone Cold like, it was like, so you mean that match, you think that match is better than Steamboat and Macho Man, and that match is better than Hogan and Rock, and that match is, I just like, shut up.
Oh yeah, she basically just looks at him, unable to smell death half a foot from her face, and goes, "Yep."
Yeah. Instead, she should have went, "Yeah,
yeah."
He might still be around with that gimmick.
I don't know, man. I don't think that'll ever get over.
Yeah, that'll never get over. So the highlight for me, and the matches were good, and I don't want to take anything away from the work. But the highlight for me was Shotzi was killing that Pinhead cosplay.
Yes, everyone agreed.
and the twins from The Shining when they did that, when they were talking to who was it they were talking to? Was that they were in the back talking to somebody, or someone was talking to him, and I can't remember who it was.
I keep thinking it's the Creed brothers, but that was when she was dressed as Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah. God, I can't remember. Can't remember who it was. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But that was the highlight for me. I was like, man, Shotzi and Scarlett both, they were just killing their cosplays. Shotzi's was better, but they were both killing it.
Oh, because Shotzi is a total horror hound.
Oh, like, yeah.
I love when she does her mandatory horror movie nights, because she actually pulls some really good ones, and you go, haven't seen that in forever. Haven't even thought of that in forever.
Yeah. Every time I say that, I keep thinking that Jake's gonna pop up like the toasty guy in Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Going, shoes of a champion. Shoes of a champion. I should have him do that, and then when I edit this for YouTube, I'll have him pop up. Shoes of a champion. That would be great.
Sure, why not?
Maybe next time. So prior to NXT, we had Monday Night Raw, which I know you and I kind of were on opposite spectrums of it. You kind of thought it was just kind of mid.
I thought there was a lot of setting up that happened, which is fine. Like, yeah. It's not saying that's a bad thing, because the television show should set up their premium live event.
Yeah. Also, I'm sorry, I'm straying from formula. Is this where we were supposed to go?
No, we can go there. It's not like set in stone.
I don't remember like exactly where I'm looking right now. We're going to get used to this format of actually trying to do things. Oh yeah, because we completely missed the Ric Flair AEW thing.
Well, to be fair, his debut was mostly Ric Flair came to the ring and said, Sting, I love you. I was there with you from the start, and you and I are going to work together, which I think implies Ric Flair's last match will be in an AEW ring somehow.
I think that it's going to be Sting's last match too.
Oh, it is. He said at Revolution, he's done. Now, of course, he said that when he was in TNA, so take that how you will.
Yeah, and then he said that when he left WWE.
I would take that as Sting is a liar. Shawn Michaels, it turns out, can be bought, but Sting is a liar.
Yeah, Shawn, as long as his Saudis throw him enough money, he'll do it. Everybody's got a prize for the $1 Million Man.
Oh, what movie
the IRS.
Oh, what movie was it? Back to School. when the teacher comes out, just, I think this is absolutely appalling, and there's no way this should be allowed, and this person is a complete disgrace. And the principal just goes, I don't think he understands the amount of the check.
What was it? Gabriel Iglesias said one time, he's like, I'm gonna write down a stupid, ridiculous number and send it to the Saudis and just see, because he's like, this has got to be BS. And he's like, give him an insane number, and like his agent calls him back like in an hour, and he's like, agent insane just called cashed in or something like that. I don't know the joke. I'm butchering it, but it was funny. It reminds me of that.
Basically, it was, they said yes and responded with, that's all?
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't think Gabriel Iglesias understands just the amount they have.
Yeah, he probably could have got triple. So we're supposed to talk about a little bit about women in the PWI 500.
I was looking through, and granted, I didn't read the entire 500 because it was my lunch break and I was just trolling through a grocery store. But number 15 was Masha Slamovich.
Who the hell's that?
I said the same thing. But here's my question. How is Rhea Ripley not in there if she's the number one women's wrestler?
She wasn't in it at all?
Not in the 500 that I saw.
Wow. I wonder if her name's Marcia, but it's like East Coast. So they're like, yeah, it's Masha. You're East Coast. You should know that. Is that how they do it? Masha.
It's a little bit northern of me, but yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's more like Boston. I got to go to the Harbor.
And have a lobster roll.
I'm going to go to Cheers and then go to the Harbor. I had a guy and when I was in the military who was in my flight, and he was from Boston. His name was Constance, so it was like really funny because like even his name sounded like a Bostonian. He
Mm-hmm.
was just like, he's like, oh yeah, you know, I got to go to the Hab, I got to go watch. And I'm just like, wow, this real? Because I had never met anyone from there, and I'm like, is this? I thought they were just like joking around on Cheers with Cliff Clavin, but apparently it is real.
It is a little closer to reality than you would expect.
Sorry, I keep messing with my mask. Like it just my goatee keeps popping up through my touching my lip, and it drives me nuts. I hate that. I almost want to cut this thing off because of that. Hate
No,
it.
don't do it. There's a hole made specifically for it.
I know this thing's getting like crazy
It's
long
getting
too.
long, dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be Static X long. That's the goal. It's not nearly as thick as his, but
Oh, I figure the side hustle would be like to play rock and roll Santa at the mall.
no.
Like Santa shaves his beard, but no, only into a long goatee.
Lucha Claws. That's what I'll do.
That's it. You know what? An episode of your show. You need lucha claws.
Ooh, maybe I'll do that for the Christmas special next year.
I like it.
Lucha Claws. And I'll just hand out presents to everybody. That'll be great.
You could review one of the several Black Xmases, or maybe the mean one.
The latest one.
Yeah, well, a fourth grade class already saw Blood and Honey, so maybe you can show the mean one to kids.
That's funny. So, who is Masha Slamovich?
I do not know. That's a great question. Let's see
Is
if
she
we
like
can
from
get a
Stardom
quick.
or something?
I don't believe so, but I also have no idea.
She's a Russian professional wrestler. She looks pretty cool with a mohawk, though. Good for her.
No, she looks awesome.
Yeah. She's an
Currently
Impact.
signed to Impact.
Yeah, she's an Impact Wrestling.
So how did I miss her? I saw Bound for Glory.
I don't know,
Oh, she
maybe.
probably wasn't in it.
Yeah,
That's
because I mean,
probably exactly.
she's rated in the top 50, right? Or no, she's
Yeah,
15, right?
she was number 15.
Number 15, and she okay, whatever. Whatever.
Like,
Are you sure Meltzer didn't fucking come up with that PWI 500? Because that sounds like something he'd do. Put someone in there no one's ever heard of, that's only been heard of in like the Baltic or something. It's like, oh, this is the greatest wrestler ever. She wrestled in the Baltic against some like rampaging rabid sea otters.
rampaging rabid sea otters.
That'll be a new cartoon that I need to do. Rampaging rabid sea otters. Beep, 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 that'd be
Man,
great.
it could have come on right after Angry Beavers. And they just build on the anger level.
Rampaging rabid sea otters. I'm gonna copyright that shit. All right, so we've come to the conclusion that neither one of us has ever seen or heard of Masha Slamovich.
After
Or
watching,
does she go by Masha Slamovich? Is that how she talks like that? She's the Red Russian.
I gotta say, after watching Bound for Glory, I might be putting TNA back. Oh, that's the other piece of news. Hang on.
Yeah, that was on the list.
Impact Wrestling will be rebranding to its previous brand.
Which I never understood why they changed it to begin with, because TNA Wrestling was fine, total nonstop action. I mean, and honestly, I got to tell you, maybe they're trying to bulk it up again because
they are. They've said they're putting more money into production. They're trying again.
Well, this is a really good time for WWE to kind of sign a little bit of an agreement with them before AEW decides to try again. But I hope that, and that's the other thing is like when I've seen Impact, I like it, and I'm not trying to slam anybody, but I like it a lot more than I like AEW. I think it's a better product than AEW.
What I saw in Bound for Glory was better than the last AEW show I watched.
Yeah, and it's good, and it's good, and those guys work their asses off. I'm not saying AEW guys don't, but Impact has booking
and consistency,
and they still hold a very dear place in my heart for allowing Tessa Blanchard become the actual world champion instead of just like the knockouts champion when she beat Sami Callahan. That was like one of the coolest moments in wrestling for me, like in the past 10 years. So,
And
no,
Sammy was the right person to do it with.
yeah, because he's crazy, and it really legitimized her victory over him because he was nuts. But he's been at AEW tapings, I've heard.
Yeah, his free agency came up, no?
I guess I don't know. I don't know the detail. I don't really go into the dirt sheets too much because half the time it's just clickbait bullshit. And like it's like I saw one the other day where there was just like former WWE wrestler says the company is not a very nice place to work. And I'm like, okay. So instead of looking at the clickbait article, I just look at the comments. And the guy's like, the first comment was, it's Eric Young. Here, he saved you the clickbait. And I'm like,
God bless the people who do that.
there are people, and then sometimes there are champions. And that guy was a champion. I love it when people do that and they just take a shit all over these clickbait articles. It's great.
Because really, like, dude, just say Eric Young says WWE was not a good place.
But the thing is he was fine when Hunter was running it, and then when Vince took control, he asked for his release again. So it's just that Eric Young has a problem with Vince McMahon. So there's nothing but now he's like discontent. I think he said he's just content with staying with TNA, which that's fine. Do that.
Right.
If that's what works for you, then do that.
And apparently, where was it? There it is. Apparently, Endeavor has just gifted Triple H full creative power.
Yeah, they just pushed McMahon out, which I thought was hilarious.
Especially when the person in charge says, well, the biggest hit to our stock would probably be Vince McMahon himself.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly.
Like, which was code for, yeah, basically I bought this thing and I promised this guy something. That being said, I'm not going to give it to him. He can kick rocks. Like, man, Vince McMahon had this great master plan that went absolutely flawlessly, except for that pesky guy who wants to make more money than him.
Yeah. And also for an interesting connection piece to that topic, now that Vince is gone, there's a much larger chance that we'll see CM Punk back. Because Vince didn't want him back. And I'm pretty sure, like, Endeavor, for one, Endeavor's going to be like, we want whoever's going to make us money.
Right.
It's no longer up to like wrestling minds now with that promotion to decide who's coming in. But it's so if Endeavor thinks that they're going to be able to make some bank off Punk, which they will. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Phil's, but like he's money for sure.
I also keep noticing for every time he's asked about appearing in Chicago, he'll say something innocuous akin to, well, it's sold out. I don't even think you can get a ticket anymore. Like, that sounds like you're going to be there. That wasn't a no.
Yeah, and I honestly, I really hope he is, because I think that's really going to cause some like weird ripples between like the two promotions, where like the AEW is going to be like, what the fuck, bro? You know what I mean? And then they're going to be like, hey, you fired him for fucking because you've got children running everything, which they do.
Right.
And no offense to the rest of the company, there are a lot of good workers there. I don't like the EVPs either. Just saying, I don't like the Bucks, never have. Kenny, I'm just indifferent. I don't, whatever. Good for you, Kenny. You're a good worker when you want to be. You know what I mean? Or when you're not like hurting, because the stuff you do is extremely dangerous and you shouldn't be doing half the spots you're doing. Anyway.
I keep meaning to ask like some of the older wrestling minds on Twitter that are okay giving their opinion. Like Mike Mondo would be a great one to ask this to. What are the thoughts on using the ring apron so much? Because it doesn't really make the move look cooler. It just makes it legitimately more dangerous, in my not so humble opinion.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Shoes of a champion. I don't know. Like, whatever. I don't know. Hold on, spin that. I got the shoes of the champion. Tell me that question again. Say that again because I need to process it.
Okay. What do you think about using the ring apron so much? Like, in my opinion, it doesn't make the move look any cooler. It just makes the move legitimately more dangerous.
I think that every once in a while, it's probably okay. Like, I really liked when Ciampa and Gargano were using the apron a lot in their matches in NXT. I thought it looked good and it legitimized like the pain of it all. But Gargano weighs like 90 pounds sopping wet. So like he takes a bump on that. It's yeah, it'll probably hurt, but it's not gonna hurt like Braun Strowman taking a bump on it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I think that if it's just like the big spots and like Hell in the Cell and the big spots. If they do it apron moves that much, it's gonna lose its impact. No offense, impact. It's gonna lose its impact, and it's not gonna be as cool. You know, Kevin Owens was doing that a lot in NXT too, and I think he really just oversaturated it for a while because he
The
would do
buckle
the
bomb.
he'd do the pop-up power bomb on Sammy on there, but he did that one time and it really made a huge impact. But then after that, people just started doing it every single match, and I
All
think
of a
that's where
sudden it
it
was no
started.
different. Yeah, all of a sudden it was no different than, oh, that's a lockup.
Right, Irish whip, that's gotta hurt. You know what I mean? Like,
Which I was going over the matches from Dynamite. There was a Dynamite, I think it was a week ago. Not a single match started in the ring. Every match was jumpstart, get in the ring, the ref rings the bell.
that's weird.
Which, I'm sorry, I'm trying to picture any other proposed sport. Like, it, you know what? There's a Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou boxing match coming up. I'm picturing Tyson Fury is on his way to the ring. Ngannou jumps out of the ring, punches Tyson in the face, throws him back in the ring, and Mills Lane says, "Get it on."
That's hilarious. Uh yeah,
God
I
bless
don't
Mills Lane.
yeah. I don't know. Like I just I don't know. I'm trying
Like
to process it and I can't process it.
well, in my, I feel like the jumpstart should be, this man threatened my wife, not, I arrived to the building and it says I'm wrestling this guy.
Yeah. And the bell ringing, like you're saying, the bell ringing after they've been fighting in the crowd for a while. I mean, the first time I ever saw that, like where it was like, oh my God, it was the Montreal Screwjob match. Because
Oh,
they fought out in the arena and like all around the ring and everything for like a good 10-15 minutes before they even got in the ring and rang the bell. So
you know, the worst is when you watch that match and it's kind of underwhelming for what you expect because you're just waiting for the end.
yeah. Scott Hall, when he was interviewed about that on the Dark Side of the Ring, he's like, I think everybody was in on it, and it's like maybe, but also I don't know, like because like it's just like Jim Cornette said, he's not gonna Vince is gonna allow someone to go in the ring and like start doing the WCW like outline and stuff like that to his competitor and all that.
Well, that's right up there with people saying Vince McMahon talked Vince Russo or paid Vince Russo to go to WCW to kill WCW.
Yeah, that's a dumb theory.
Like, wow, that is, I don't know how many dimensions of chess that is. That's way more than four.
That theory is even more unentertaining than Austin theory. Ah, hosting.
Let's see. So what else we got here? Oh, we might be getting a new AEW pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, which one now?
Well, according to Wrestling News, AEW filed to trademark World's End for entertainment services with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And it is listed as a show because we don't have enough pay-per-views apparently.
It's gonna be dumb if they try to do another TV show.
Oh my God, they can't.
I hope that sounds more like a pay-per-view name, you know? Man, this thing is driving me nuts. Um, they're gonna have a hell of a time trying to do that, considering there's a movie that's been, has its name copyrighted, The World's End.
Oh,
So
that's true.
they're gonna get a little bit of a hassle there, but Tony's got all the money in the world to fucking do that. That's the thing about trademarking, is that unless you like get it right, or you have to hire lawyers right off the bat. And most entertainment lawyers will tell you that unless you have a lot of money, um, like my entertainment lawyer told me that never worry about trademarking stuff, although I do worry about it. He's like, because it's very expensive, and if it's not right off the bat, then they're going to fight you and fight you and fight you. So
Now, I have a question. What is the difference between trademarking and copywriting? Or are they just interchangeable words?
no, they're not interchangeable. They're very different. So like trademark is like, you can trademark a name, like it's weird. Like, it's very weird. And it's like, I used to know, because I dealt with a lot of this in film school in my undergrad. They're very different, but then they're also very similar, if that makes sense.
It does.
uh like copyright, you have a tangible thing, and you can't like just copyright a name, I don't think, but you can copyright a tangible thing.
Okay.
And then I think that, and I might be off here, but and I think trademarking is like a logo or a name or something like that. It can be just like a name of something or whatever, something. And I think that copyright is like, you have to have a tangible thing. Like you copyright a script. The script is a thing. You copyright, your show, you copyright whatever. So I think that's the difference.
Okay.
But like I said, it's been a long time since I was in my undergrad, so I could be wrong.
No, I'm sure I can research that. No worries. But according to Muscle Man Malcolm, Nyla Rose is pushing for women's tag championships,
They
which
don't
I
need,
can't
but
exactly. I can't help but think there are already too many belts.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. AEW has I mean, it'll be a good way to like use the women's division, but they don't use it anyway. They already have 2 titles for the women. They barely use one of them.
Exactly.
They don't like, if they have enough women on the AEW roster where they could have their own show. You know what I mean? Like, instead of like, that's what they should do with the Rampage. Fuck it. Like, they've got Rampage, Collision, Dynamite. Take Rampage and make it repackage it and make it the women's, all women's show, so that all those ladies in AEW have their own thing to shine.
Just for fun, have you heard what the Rampage main event is going to be?
No.
So we are getting, according to All Elite Wrestling, Ortiz and Santana will settle their differences in a no DQ Falls Count Anywhere match this Friday. I didn't even know they were feuding.
Who is it again? Ortiz and Santana versus who?
No, it's not versus anybody. It's those two versus each other.
What?
Exactly. Last time I saw them, they were a tag team.
Uh, that's what I thought. What the hell? AEW has too many shows. They have too big of a roster and too many shows.
And we've gotten to the point there's now the Rampage verse, the Collision verse, the
Okay, so maybe if like all you do in your life is watch wrestling, like the Dirt Sheet guys, or like, Denise Salcedo, or like Sean Ross Sapp, or all those guys, like that's their job, is to watch all the wrestling they can possibly watch and write about it, then sure. Okay, but the norm, even me, as and yourself, as both of us were wrestlers, I don't have neither the time nor the desire to watch that much wrestling. You know what I mean? And because I don't know. I don't have the time or desire to watch that much wrestling. It's like I would love to be able to watch AEW and follow it and like be able to do that, but I can't do that because there's so much crap that I'm not saying it's crap, but there's just so much stuff that's going on there that I can't keep it straight at all.
Well,
You
it's
know?
no different than any passion where I'm absolutely certain there are whole days that go by that James Hetfield does not pick up a guitar.
Okay.
But at the same time, I look at this and go, man, so if I didn't see this single tweet in 6 months or whatever, I would go, I wonder whatever happened to Santana Ortiz. Like, they haven't been going after the tag championship in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, it, so WWE has main event, which is totally skippable because it has nothing to do with what's going on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, and
That's what
I don't
Rampage
watch
should be.
yeah, I don't watch that, nor do I watch Level Up. Like WWE has too many shows. You know what I mean? Get rid of main event and Level Up. You don't need them. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess Level Up's good for like their developmental guys to like be in front of a camera. I guess that's good, but
I'm still thinking Level Up NXT, it needs to start touring again. Because, yes, they know how to work in front of that crowd, that singular crowd that goes to the performance center, which apparently means they park in one place, get on a bus, and then they're taken over for however many hours. And so, yes, you know how to work in front of Dom, David, Taylor, Jody. Like, you know how to work in front of them.
little
Now go
Jody.
to Arkansas and learn how to work in front of everybody else.
Yeah, and that's what they need. You're right. That's what they need to do for the sake of those kids is to do that. Like I said, I wasn't, like I spent like a whole day in NXT. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I don't have enough experience to really know how it operates there. But like, uh, yeah, that sounds like a pretty solid thing. Take them on, but then also like a lot of that adds a bunch of production costs too to be able to do that. But you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to put the production into it that you put on SmackDown with those terrible fucking graphics they pop up on the screen. I hate those things.
The CGI stuff.
Yeah, where Roman comes out and it looks really terrible, and he's like, "Brr, brr." I
It
don't like
looks
that.
like it looks like the Colossus from Clash of the Titans and not the recent one.
You're right, it
Actually,
does.
you know what it looks like? It looks just like the Colossus of Rhodes from God of War 2.
That's good.
And it's like, just so you know, it's 2023. You're showing me PS2 level graphics.
Yeah, and I would understand it if it was part of like a VR thing, like because they did do that for a while. I don't know if they still do, but PlayStation VR had an app where WWE could like get the VR matches from WWE.
Okay.
And you could watch them. Like next time you're out here, I'll show you them because they're interesting. So, and you'll actually be in the ring with them. You look around, like you can see everything around them. It's really crazy. And they did that. And I think John Cena had a match where he did that, and there was like a couple of other things. But so I get those graphics if that is the point of them, because to see those things in your face all like in the VR, that would be pretty cool, I guess. But you're right, it looks like PS2 graphics. It looks like shit. Nobody likes it. I don't understand why they do it.
The only
And
one the only one I've seen that even kind of looks cool is Judgment Day.
yeah, Judgment Days is pretty cool. It doesn't look like shit, but like
Like
even yeah,
other than that, it's they flash a name or so. Like, even Cody's, for as cool as his symbol is, it looks terrible in that environment.
yeah. And I think the worst one, like the Roman Reigns one, is probably the worst one. I
Oh, it's
hate,
terrible.
but like I'll be like, that's the other thing. I'll be like watching or like I'm watching something and I'm trying to like I'm just kind of doing something else and I look up and all of a sudden Bianca Belair's giant VR or giant graphic ponytail flips in my face from hers, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that shit.
Like, I'd even be cool. The big time Bex one, where it's Becky doing her glasses down,
Mhm.
that should just be on the screen. Like,
Yeah,
just
why?
put that on the screen.
Yeah, why don't they do that? Like, because when you see it live, you don't see that shit. They're not like it fucking projecting Tupac's hologram up there. You know what I mean? Like, why
Right.
don't they just keep it like that and keep the realism of the show? And I mean, but WWE's always been that way. Big, 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 big. Like this, but the thing is they went big, 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 and it was too big and it sucked. So, my opinion. All right, moving on. Let's go to our next topic.
Well, speaking of opinions, you want to give yours on the card for Crown Jewel coming up?
Yeah, what do we got first?
Well, I'm going to go the one match on here that's not for a championship, Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest.
Since it's not for a championship, I think it's going to be pretty cool because those two guys can work and they're fun to watch, and they've built that up a little bit too, where I'm actually legitimately interested in seeing it because it's not for a title, I'll like it more because it's in Saudi, and everyone knows they're not going to do these big title changes in Saudi. They're just not going to do it. And so the fact that it's just a grudge match will actually make it kind of fun because they like to go out there and impress the Saudis when they go over there. So I think the match is going to be pretty good.
I fully agree. I think Cody Rhodes is probably going to win because we still have to make Jay the guy. So there'll probably be Dominic interference. There'll probably be Finn Balor interference. And somehow Cody bests them all.
And the thing is like when the Judgment Day interferes in matches, like sometimes I hate that because like in AEW, it's random and doesn't make any sense why everybody's running around and jumping in the ring. But like with not all the time, but like most cases. But when the Judgment Day does it, I love it because I know that, and they've built that up to their interferences because JD McDonough is going to come out and fuck something up and piss one of them off. So I'm always waiting to see what kind of dumb shit JD McDonough does to piss off Damian Priest. So I'm waiting. So when they do come in and interfere, like it's pretty cool. I dig it. So I'm okay with the interference in that shit.
By the way, you know who I'm realizing is the toughest member of Judgment Day, like hands down?
Rhea.
Yeah, she's the only one that no one interferes in her match and she still gets it done.
Yeah. But like her characters get like they're what they're doing right now with her is weird. We can talk about that later. Let's go through the card.
Sure, let's jump to what we already talked about her. Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler versus Zoe Stark versus Raquel Rodriguez, and all of them have to wear full bodysuits.
Well, Nia already does, so you don't have to worry about her, but except for like her see-through portions of her outfits. But that match is just that match is gonna be garbage. Unless is it for the title?
Yeah.
Then we already know Rhea Ripley's going over.
Right.
They're not going to change. They're not going to take her title away from her at the Saudi pay-per-view. They're just not going to do that.
I was so confused not even confused. I was annoyed by Nia Jax on Raw when she looks at everybody. Do you get it? She wants me to squash you.
Like, yeah, that was stupid.
Like, and it went on forever. And you just think, like, you're related to the family that can talk? Like, are you sure? Did it skip a generation or something?
I really don't know. It's fucking that match is like, okay, so even my wife, we were watching that match and my wife looks up, you know how she feels about wrestling anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She looks up at it and she's like, is she gonna say that any more times? Because I want to fucking knock her out. Like, I'm like, fair.
And the worst part is, I'm sure she didn't say it in a wow, she's really getting heat with me way. It's I'm really annoyed by her voice.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. She was extremely annoyed with her. She's like, so is she gonna fucking stop doing this anytime soon? Because I already have to watch this garbage. This is even worse than normal. And I'm like, fair. That's all I could say was like, you're not wrong.
Right? Like, I have nothing. That's exactly how it is.
I don't even know. I still don't. I do know. They brought Nia in. That was probably their deal they made with having Rock come in on SmackDown.
So he doesn't have to buy her a house because everyone else in the family bought him a house.
Yeah. But I honestly truly believe that's why she came back because they're like, Rock, we want to come in and do your spot. Well, like, okay, I'll do this for this amount of money, and you have to give Nia a contract again. And that's probably what they did.
I'm next to certain of it.
Because
In fact,
good on The Rock for looking out for his family.
Right.
Still.
But in fact, just noticing Nia injures Rhea, and then all of a sudden, Nia's not the unstoppable monster anymore. Now she can be beaten. Like now Raquel can lift her. Now that's how they're going to end it. Rhea Ripley's going to give her the Riptide.
Maybe. That'd be pretty cool.
It would.
That'd be the best way for them to end it. I'm still not sold on Raquel. I think she's just like, she was great in NXT.
I was thinking she needs to go back to badass Raquel.
Yeah, when she was a monster and everyone was afraid of her.
When she didn't show off her pearly whites as hard as she possibly could to the point it looks uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I've noticed from her too. She's just like, she's too like cookie cutter fucking girl next door right now, and I don't like it.
You know how artists would draw the Joker smiling so hard that it looked painful?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like when she comes out.
Like the cover of Batman The Last Halloween or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
just like that.
And he gets smiles all the way up to her fucking forehead. Yeah. Or up to her temples.
Like even Hertron is just her name, her standing next to it with the most giant smile she can possibly do. Which is amazing, just going, are you guys just not aware that Raquel is one of your biggest girls? She's good. She's not the best ever, but she's good. And she can be a badass if you let her.
I'm still sold on the fact that, like, I love Rhea. Rhea's great. But I still think that Shayna Baszler's the baddest person in, like legitimately the baddest, ass person.
Oh, no question.
And the fact that they just make her do stupid shit just pisses me off. I'm just like, the Queen of Spades in NXT was so goddamn good.
I was actually annoyed when they brought in women for the UFC and they did the Ultimate Fighter and they brought in Shayna Baszler. And of course, everybody, oh, Shayna's done this, Shayna's done that, Shayna's been doing it for this long, Shayna, and the whole time going, okay, you realize she's 8 years into her career, right? She's not, no, you guys are not doing this right.
Yeah.
And then she was beaten by Juliana Pena, who would go on to become the champion and get knocked out horribly.
So yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I thought that when they had when Shayna had the other two girls with her from the UFC.
Oh, Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I was like, bring them in, and then they can be like, they're stooges for her or whatever. Like, it was working out. And one of the best things they did with Shayna was, and with those two, was when Shane was doing that weird Raw Underground thing.
Oh, that's right.
And they put her in there just beating the shit out of everybody. And I'm like, awesome. Like, this is actually where it looks pretty cool. Although it was just kind of like a fake version of like the stupid Brawl for All. It was like a Brawl for All in a boiler room. I was waiting for Freddie to come out and be like, oh, welcome to prime time, bitch.
Oh my god. When Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke just disappeared.
Yeah.
I kept wondering, man, I wonder why they're gone. I'm sure they could have done something. Then I saw a few of Marina's matches and promos and said, oh, I get it.
Well, they just kept them like as like just the
backup,
the stooges, like it would have been fine.
Who were Shane McMahon's friends? Pete Gas was one of them. And I think he was Shane's legitimate friends. Yeah. Could have just had that role.
Yeah, right.
Or like no one's looking for matches out of you.
The Mean Street Posse.
That's what they were called, yes.
Yeah. There was Joey Abs and Pete Gas, and I can't remember the other guy. This is calling the other guy.
That's probably exactly what he went by, too.
You ever see that movie, That Thing You Do? With Tom Hanks?
No.
Watch it. It's a great movie, by the way.
Okay.
It's all about a band in like the early '60s that are like trying to they write a record or whatever. It's a great movie. It has what's her face? Steven Tyler's daughter. I can't remember her name.
Live?
Liv Tyler, yeah. And she's in it, and a bunch of other people you've seen before and other things. It's really good. Check that movie out. But anyway, I can't remember the fuck I was going with. Remember what was I saying right before?
Pete Gas, Mean Street Posse, That Thing You Do.
Shit. I don't know. I lost it. But
Steven Tyler now looks like the cool aunt who's into crystals.
I guess just That Thing You Do is a good movie. We'll just leave it at that. And maybe I can figure it out later. But I was trying to figure out like the correlation I was trying to go for, because I got into thinking about like who was in the movie, and then my brain just went
It happens.
All those headshots.
So I think we all agree Rhea Ripley's winning this one.
Yeah, she's going to win that.
And then we have gross Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul, because we must.
Oh, I remember That Thing You Do, the correlation. Yeah. So the girl or the dude from the Mean Street Posse that we don't know his name,
right?
And we just call him the other guy. It reminds me of that movie, because the band members with the bass player, like he didn't have a name. So in the credits, in the movie they just call him the bass player all the time, and even in the credits it's just the bass player, and he's in the movie like almost the whole time. It's just his name, the bass player. It's pretty funny.
Oh, that's right up there. And someone had to tell me about this in Pulp Fiction. The guy, I'm just a diner. And that's how he's credited.
That's awesome. So, yeah, now that I remember Rhea Ripley's going over, what's the next match?
Rey Mysterio versus gross Logan Paul.
I'm not going to watch it. I'll skip it.
I'm fine with that.
That'll be bathroom break time for me. Logan Paul will probably win. And then it'll set up a bunch of different matches with members of the LWO versus Logan Paul over the next 3 months, until Logan Paul leaves again. Logan Paul will be like a champion that never defends except for at pay-per-views, just like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, whatever.
See, that's my issue. If he wins, he has to be there for at least a little bit. Otherwise, you have two absentee champions on SmackDown.
I honestly don't think it's a good idea. I don't think that they should. I don't like him anyway, but even aside from the fact that I fucking hate Logan Paul as a person, I just don't like him as a wrestler either. He's basically he's basically just the Miz. That's all he is. He's the Miz, but less talented. Like he goes in there and he's like the guy that comes in there and goes, "Oh, look at me, ha, 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 ha. I'm a big star, ha 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 ha. Silence, ha 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 ha." I don't care. Shut up. I don't care about your stupid fucking wonky, janky prime energy drink garbage. I don't give a fuck about that. This is like, that's the time you mentioned Logan Paul, and I'm just fucking on my soapbox. I fucking hate him so much, and I wish that he would go away. Just not even from wrestling, just go away in general. The public needs to just be like, why the fuck are we even? Yeah, I know Francois. I know. He's a dick. Anyway. Yeah, so just piss on Logan Paul. I don't care. He's probably gonna win. I'm not gonna like it, so I'm just gonna not watch the match. And that's how I deal with him. Anytime he's on the screen, skip. I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction. If the Nielsen ratings are ever watching me, they'll know that anytime fucking Logan Paul's on the screen, I change the fucking channel. And then that'll fucking go back to them, and maybe they'll fucking get the goddamn clue that nobody wants him there, except for other YouTube fans of his. So,
nope, that's a fine way to look at it, to be honest.
I'm sorry,
because really the single best scenario we have is the championship remains on Rey Mysterio and nothing changes, or the championship goes to Logan Paul and I now have to deal with Logan Paul.
You know what I would love to see happen? This is terrible, but I would love for Logan Paul to go to Saudi Arabia and do something really stupid there.
I could see that happening.
be very disrespectful and they won't let him leave. That's the best case scenario for me. Like, I don't want anything physically to happen to the guy, but it would be funny if like they were like, no, you're going to Saudi jail, bro. Like I would laugh at that. I'd be like, good.
Or you have to put out a video saying how great the Saudi Arabian government is.
Yeah.
Like when John Cena had to apologize in Mandarin.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so weird. Like, dude, it looks like a hostage video. Like, you're John Cena. You can't like dress it up a little?
Apparently not. Oh, man. So, yeah, the best case scenario for me, Logan Paul does something really stupid like he normally does. Talk shit to like Saudi police or something. And
that'd be a bad move.
Do you see that happening? I see that happening.
I totally see that happening.
Because he's such a cocky prick.
If he pulls half of the dumbass shit he did in Japan in Saudi Arabia, he's not going home.
No.
And this is kind of my warning as a fellow human, like, don't do that.
No. Yeah, and
by the way,
like, I don't want anything bad to happen to the guy physically. Because my problems with him are my problems with him, and I don't wish harm on anybody. But like, even if they are a giant asshole prick like Logan Paul, but like, still, it's like that might be funny for him to get into a little bit of trouble over there.
I kind of feel the same way if you're an American and you bought a ticket to the show, which I can't believe are for sale.
I know, that's weird.
Be super careful over there, dudes and dudettes.
Yeah, totally, especially dudettes.
Right. Like, I don't know what sort of a briefing they're going to give you on, hey, don't fuck around or you will find out.
No joke, dude.
Because I don't think that dude who did it on the graph, I don't think his numbers go high enough for how much you're going to find out.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, anyway, Logan Paul, blah, blah, blah. Piss off.
Last up for the announced matches, we have Roman Reigns versus LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. Shoes of a champion. I really want Jake to do that now. Well, especially since this episode's going up on YouTube. That would be hilarious. Shoes of a champion. That sounds like Mickey Mouse. Ha! Hey! Ha! Shoes of a champion! Ha!
So, yeah, I'm going Roman Reigns wins. I mean, what else do you do?
Yeah, sorry, LA Knight, but no. Sorry, I drink this beer pretty quick. So, for me, I'm a lightweight. But
and I mean, I can't picture Damian Priest cashing in Money in the Bank in Saudi Arabia, which there's a non-zero chance, but whatevs.
And he's not going to cash in against Roman anyway. If he cashes in, he might cash in against our other match that we didn't talk about.
Oh, there's another one announced?
Yeah, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre.
Oh, there is. I've got that on the bottom.
Yeah, so I think that was a good segue. So I think that like I could see Damian Priest cashing in and winning it at the Saudi pay-per-view. I could actually see that happen. Because honestly, that Raw title means nothing.
No. And it's around a goof. Like,
exactly.
Not even Seth Rollins as a worker wrestler person. He is presented both physically and in character as a goof.
And I think maybe that's why they have the whole Rhea thing going on right now, where she comes down and interferes in the matches and shit like that. I think that's what's going on. I think she's trying to play the card there so that like he has a false sense of security, Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. And after he's won that match, or Seth wins or whatever, maybe and so that's when Damian Priest cashes in. That makes perfect sense. And also they love to impress the Saudis, and they've never done a cash in there. So, I mean, that might be legitimately what happens.
I am curious. Do you think we get a battle royal or something, and out comes someone no one's heard of?
Oh, like Mansoor?
Right. Or I was thinking, who was it? like Dave Nemeth or something like that.
Like Ryan Nemeth's other brother.
Yeah, Nemeth has got to be the wrong. He's this big, jacked up dude. And the whole thing was they built him up for weeks on end, and then Samoa Joe killed him on NXT.
Yeah.
And then just, I think 6 or so months later, he just shows up to the Royal Rumble, the greatest Royal Rumble.
That's right. That dude was in the Rumble. That was weird too, because they had a lot of NXT guys in that Rumble because it was like 50 people.
60, I think.
Was it 60?
No,
I think it was,
50.
I think it
Yeah.
was 50. Yeah. I actually really love the Royal Rumble, so I hope they do that again.
And they also brought out a sumo wrestler gimmick because the Saudi prince wanted Yokozuna.
Oh yeah, he's like, yeah, he's been dead for a while there, buddy.
Which, like, have you heard of this company called Wish? I can get you Yokozuna, but he's not going to work like Yokozuna.
You might get like half of Akibono. Or whatever guys that I see sometimes when I'm up late at night and ESPN's on and I see sumo wrestling. I don't know. Have you ever done that? You're like, you doze off and you wake up, it's like 3 a.m. and all of a sudden you just see sumo wrestling on fucking one of the sports networks.
Oh, yes.
And you're just like, but then like, you're just like, what the fuck am I watching this? And then you just can't stop watching it because you're like, wow, this really, really, really big corpulent dude is gonna really smash this lesser corpulent dude. And you're like, and it's gonna make a noise.
Oh, at the gym I worked at, there was this one guy. He loved obscure sports, mostly because he could just hear it in the he was one of the managers there, so it wasn't like it was on the floor. But he loved obscure sports mostly because it could just be noise and he didn't really have to pay attention to it.
Makes sense.
Until months later, he could name the world dart champion. He could name the world billiard champion. He could name the flip cup champion. He could name the cornhole champion.
That's amazing.
And the worst is, every single sport I just named, you can be completely out of shape and just a wreck of a human being, but still be the world champion.
Competitive dwarf tossing. I'd actually watch that. That'd be pretty cool. Not for the dwarves, but for everybody else.
Oh, did you see I think it was Jackass where they do like dwarf bowling? And
No.
the guy goes, the dwarf they have goes, yeah, so I normally do like 3 or 4. And they go, oh no, we're doing a whole game. And you see it just, fuck no.
I never really watched that show. Like,
you missed nothing.
Like I like Johnny Knoxville like in movies. I think he's a pretty good actor. Like he's not the greatest actor in the world, but he's okay. Like The Ringer's a really funny movie. Like I think that movie's fucking hilarious.
Oh,
But
he did an interview, I think it was Joe Rogan, where he talks about the worst he ever got hurt. And it was when he was knocked out by Butterbean. And I can't help but think, you don't fucking say.
Yeah, no shit. Like of all people, like Mike Barton didn't fucking like fake that shit.
Like you, a not fighter, took a punch from one of the hardest hitters in history, and you're shocked that it had lasting effects. Like the fact that you're still alive is nothing short of a miracle.
Exactly. It was like on one of the roasts where Steve-O just runs into Mike Tyson's fist, face like head first. I'm like, you are a really, I know you're sober now, but I figured that would make you a little bit less like idiotic. And you're still doing stupid shit. At least he didn't let Tyson punch him.
Right.
That would have been bad.
But yeah, that is Crown Jewel.
Well, hopefully it's good. I would love to see the cash in. I think that would make that pay-per-view pretty good. I'm surprised they aren't bringing any legends in for it.
No one's announced. And I think they've exhausted most of their legends. Like Taker's definitely hurt. Shawn Michaels, unless he gets another huge payday, I'm sure is done.
Well, it's weird that we're not getting
even an appearance.
Like Gunther. We're not getting Gunther at this at all.
No, we're not getting Gunther. We're not getting Bianca Belair. We're not getting any tag matches.
No Jey Uso.
I think Jey will be there for Cody.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be there for Cody, but he doesn't have a match, and we're not getting like. I figure they would have been pushing Austin Theory all over that place, because we're not getting any of that. Um, there's no like nothing to do with like no Sami Zayn this time.
No Kevin Owens for
Nope.
now.
Yeah, that's weird.
They have one more week, I think, to promote it, so I'm sure they'll add something.
Maybe they'll do Gunther and Sammy, or
That'd be
maybe
fun.
they'll do Gunther and and Chad Gable again
I
or
was
something.
actually thinking, what are your thoughts on this? Bronson Reed comes up to the main roster, and he's the one to take the championship from Gunther.
Well, Bronson Reed just fought him.
No, not Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. I always do that.
That would be
always do
fucking,
that.
dude. That would be fucking awesome. That would be awesome.
Because like Gunther would lose nothing by losing that championship, and then he can actually go for the Raw championship.
I think when they bring Braun in, he's going to go to SmackDown and he's going to be paired up with Paul Heyman. Which I don't think he doesn't need anyone to talk for him.
No, it's amazing when you hear Braun Breaker talk. Like, that is Scott Steiner to a T.
It's Scott Steiner being able to make a actual
coherent sentence.
Yeah, an actual functioning coherent sentence.
And the worst part is Scott's like the whole Scott Steiner math thing. Like, Scott Steiner's a pretty smart dude, just insane. So, like, the math actually works in that whole promo. It's just the fact that he's the one saying it.
Scott Steiner. That reminds me. I've been playing 2K WWE 2K23's general manager mode.
Yeah.
And I finally made it. Like I won. I did like a 7 seasons game on that against 3 other GMs. And I won. I actually ended up getting all the going into the Hall of Fame before any of them as a GM and all this other stuff.
Nice.
But I always used the Steiner brothers. Like I would, because Rick and Scott are both in the game. So I would always try to draft both Rick Scott and Braun Breaker into my promotion, into my, brand. And I would always have them like dominating. So it's really cool. Like my booking was awesome. I had like the Steiners always taking, going on against, taking on Gallows and Anderson, which was pretty cool. Like I was like, man, that would have been a cool match to see. And then I would bring in like the bloodline and stuff too. So there would be like Ivar and Eric. Like I had like a whole thing. It was pretty cool, but my ratings going through the roof. Anyway, moving on. Sorry.
Oh, I always love when I meet someone who doesn't have a concept of the Steiner brothers, just a Scott Steiner in TNA or WWE, and go, oh, hang on, let me show you these clips from Japan where they were just gassed out of their minds and did whatever they wanted. Not because the people they're working with let them do it, because the people they were working with couldn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah, exactly. Same one with the Road
Warriors
over there, and with Stan Hansen.
Right.
Like Stan Hansen wanted to do something to you. It was going to happen, whether you wanted it to or not.
Right. It's just, who was it? Someone described Stan Hansen as, it's gonna hurt. It's just a matter of how much.
Yeah. I love Stan Hansen in that movie Suburban Commando.
Oh, he was so good. So good.
Or no, it wasn't Suburban Commando. It was No Holds Barred. No Holds Barred. Not Suburban Commando. Undertaker was in Suburban Commando. Yeah. Anyway.
I still think No Holds Barred, underrated. It was never going to be good. It never had a chance.
It had... I'll tell you what, when it came out in 1990, as a 10-year-old, I fucking loved it. Because I was a huge Hulkamaniac, right? And like,
that's fair.
Fucking love. I mean, this is also before Cringe Hogan, and like, that's what, if he ever makes a comeback, rip him. If he ever has a comeback, they should just rename him. He's not Hollywood Hulk Hogan, he's Cringe Hulk Hogan. And he just comes out being like a complete tool bag, making lies. Like he's a general manager and he books a match. Guy's like, I want this match against Rhea Ripley tonight. And he's like, okay, brother. And then the match comes on and it doesn't happen. And they're like, hey, you fucking lied. He's like, what, brother? What do you expect? That would be terrible, but funny all at the same time.
I'm curious if anyone's working on this, and I'm just throwing this out there as $1 million idea. Someone needs to do the biography of Hulk Hogan, but just based on his lies, and include the fact that he lied about being at Wembley, lied about seeing Make-A-Wish kids there, and said the Make-A-Wish kid he was lying about seeing smelled bad.
Now let's look at it this way too, in Hulk Hogan's defense. Because I know he doesn't get a lot of defense, but Hulk Hogan took a lot of fucking bumps in the day. Maybe he's got some fucking CTE going on. He doesn't remember shit the way it's supposed to be.
Entirely possible.
I mean,
but
that
I'm still throwing this out there. If you're talking about a Make-A-Wish kid, don't say they stink.
Don't do that.
As a rule, whether you're truthful or making it, I don't care if they're wearing a diaper and just pooed. Don't bring it up.
Oh God. All right, so what do we have now?
Now we can pretty much talk about show results.
Okay, so we already did NXT Halloween Havoc. So let's talk, like, I know we talked a little bit about Raw, and we can not have to talk too much about Raw, because like I said, I thought it was fine. And the thing is like you said before, like it was a lot of buildup. And I think they need that because they have Survivor Series coming up real soon. I know they're building Saudi, but they're at the same time they're having to build Survivor Series. And I think a lot of that on the SmackDown with Nick Aldis as the GM, I think there's going to be a really cool brand thing. I hope it's War Games because that's what everybody wants to see. And I hope that Cody is in it because Cody needs to be in War Games.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that just he wasn't in. Was he in last year's War Games? No, because he was injured.
Yeah, he had his torn pec at the time.
So he hasn't got to be in War Games. So, like, the fact that they haven't even announced, it's weird that they haven't announced that yet. But they still have like 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah. First, they have to get through the Crown Jewel, and then they can actually ramp up this whole thing.
Because Survivor Series used to be my favorite event of the year. And then now that Vince isn't there, I would really love it for them to go back to like nothing but team elimination matches and make it like, do your main event, do your championship match or whatever, do the women's championship, do the men's championship, but then have like 3 or 4 matches where it's team elimination. Like, I think that was cool because it was always fun to watch it when it was like, team captain, blah, 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 team captain, blah, and their partners, blah, and the Road Warrior, or the Legion of Doom, and Demolition. It's Hacksaw's, the 4x4s versus the Heenan family. You know what I mean? Like, that was fucking cool. I loved that shit. And I, especially since they're still they're trying to cater to kids still a little bit. Like, do that because kids love that shit. You know what I mean? Like, especially like when you're 8 or 9 years old and you're just getting into wrestling and you see that like gimmicky stuff like that, it really helps you. And I wish that, and I don't know how many times I've had a tweet that I've sent a tweet out that no one ever looked at to like Vince McMahon, WWE, and Triple H, like being like, please bring back team elimination matches. Please go to Royal Rumble and do it 2 minutes. Do the 2 minutes instead of a minute and a half, so they have time to fucking build the Rumble. I don't know how many times I've done that where no one ever fucking listens because they don't give a fuck what I have to say.
I still think it'd be a cool concept because a lot of times on the teams, especially being just brands that are chosen who's the best, you wind up with 2 people who naturally won't get along and are already feuding. What if they had it something akin to whatever team wins, that team, the members of that team, on their next show, so on the next Raw, SmackDown, whatever, they have a battle royal and the winner gets a championship opportunity. A title match, some might call it.
So they used to do a thing. They did it 1 year where they had a Survivor match. Do you remember this?
I'm blanking on it.
They did it in 91. And they had the team elimination matches, and each member, like whoever was the sole survivors of the teams, would go on to a final match in the night against the heels would team up with the other heels that won their matches. Okay. And then they would go against the faces that won their Survivor Series matches, and then they'd have their own Survivor Series match. So you'd see who the sole survivors were.
Okay.
I wish they'd do that too. That was pretty cool. I mean, it makes the pay-per-view, because the match that they did in 91, I think we should actually, and before I say this, I think we should jump in and do for our podcast towards the end of before Survivor Series, we should go and do like we did with Rumble 90. We should dissect the 1990 or 1991 Survivor Series.
We can do both. One in November, one in December.
We could do that. That'd be pretty cool. But anyway, so like they had a match with, well, never mind. I'll just, because that way we can do it later. I don't want to talk too much about it, but they had the cool match and they had the survivors and against the other survivors, and it was just a fucking cool thing. It was weird because it was the only time they ever did it. And then the following year, they stopped doing 1992's Survivor Series. They stopped doing the Survivor Series matches.
The elimination matches?
Yeah, they did them. They did like one. And then all the other matches down the card were like, they had Big Boss Man versus Nails. Nails, Vince McMahon. They had like Macho. They had one match like Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior versus Ric Flair and Razor Ramon was like the main event. And it was the debut of Yokozuna, where they had him just literally and figuratively squash Virgil.
Yeah, that was rough.
It was brutal. And there were some other just rando matches like that on that sort of. But then the next year in 93, they went back to all elimination matches again for like the next 3 years. So it didn't go over well then. I don't think it goes over well now. The only Survivor Series where they didn't do team elimination matches that I loved was when they did the tournament for the world title in 98. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
My opinion. But anyway.
So just real quick, just a potpourri of things that I had on here. What are your thoughts? We're getting Kenny Omega versus MJF on Collision. And the problem I have with it, so Kenny Omega says, I hold the record as the longest reigning AEW champion. You're approaching it, and you're going to pass me on this day. The problem is you only did it with 3 days to go.
And that's this weekend, right?
Yeah, that's Saturday.
That should have been that was poorly planned. That should have been a pay-per-view match.
And it should have been as easy as someone interviewing Kenny. Kenny gets done talking about friendship and whatever. And they say,
"It's magic."
So Kenny, MJF is quickly approaching your record as the longest reigning AEW champion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, isn't that fucking Renee's job?
Exactly. Like, there you go. It takes 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. And the match would have been really good. Honestly, my personal opinion, and I'm not trying to slam anybody, but I'm gonna say this flat out. I don't think Kenny can have a good match against someone not from Japan or who hasn't worked in Japan. I think I think when Kenny has to like work a regular normal match with not a bunch of really, really crazy, stupid, dangerous spots, it's not going to go over as well. I mean, MJF's going to have to carry that match.
I was thinking that too. Like, if Kenny Omega is kept away from his worst inclination while he's in the States, because it really is something about being in the States and being allowed to just perform his artistic vision, it makes it worse.
Yeah. I mean, but if they look at all the matches that he's had in the past year, it's been all like these weird dream matches that Japan, it was all like Japan influenced dream matches. The Will Ospreay match, where Ospreay was fucking murdered him.
Oh, that pile driver that almost ended in paralysis.
Right. And, all the other weird matches, like he's had those matches with Takeshita, and he's had matches with, then he have a match with Okada, and he had a match with Naito, and like they've all been like these Japanese dream matches, which like I said on Spaces last night, I was saying that I don't fucking care about these Japanese dream matches because I don't watch New Japan. I'll occasionally watch New Japan, but it's not something that it's just more wrestling that I have to ingest that I don't have time to ingest.
And with that in mind, it's not even saying these guys aren't good. It's saying I don't know who they are and you haven't told me.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, Naito's debut for AEW, unless you know who Naito was, who cares? Like, who cares?
Like, I know who Naito is because, like, of all the Japanese wrestlers, I like Naito the best, even though Okada's solid. But the thing is I just don't give a shit about these like super dream matches.
Do you know what? Do you know why Naito does the eye thing where he opens his eye? Because when he was on excursion in Mexico, so the Mexican crowd's not known for their super kindness.
Yeah, no shit.
And they would all open their eyes at him and do the whole like, you're squinting, So he now does that as a fuck you.
Wow, that's fucked up. I didn't know that. But yeah, their fans over there are viciously brutal, but that's like another level of fucked up.
Right, that's where like even the douche in the room looks around going, guys, we're going a little too far.
Yeah. If only someone had said that to fucking Invader in fucking Puerto Rico.
Right.
Not trying to bring light to that, but I mean that's the first thing I thought of was like, man, if only someone said, hey, Invader, like calm down.
Just I don't think it's worth all the effort you're putting in, is all I'm saying.
Anyway, back to like less sad, pathetic things that never should have happened. But anyway, yeah, like the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view they did.
Oh, but no, speaking of Japanese legends and whatnot, so on Bound for Glory, there's a mute button I can push when I sneeze. That's super cool to know. So on Bound for Glory, they had Will Ospreay versus Mike Speedball Bailey.
Okay.
Really good match. Just it went overboard a few times, and the ending was a little finisher heavy for my taste. But wow, if you have a chance, those two were really fun to watch.
It was Bailey and who?
Will Ospreay.
Okay.
The one British guy who sounds like an adult. Because so many of the other British guys in wrestling have high voices.
Remember that weird like guy who turned out to be really cringe who was in WWE?
Yes, he was super pale. He had the mustache.
Jack Gallagher.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually loved that gimmick. I thought it was great with the cane and he was doing all the weird shit. And that was pretty cool and fun.
Oh, he was in, what was it, the Cruiserweight Classic?
Yeah.
And quickly skyrocketed as my favorite.
Yeah, he was cool. Like, and then he turned out to be like really cringe.
Yeah, then boy, then stuff came to light, didn't it?
Oh yeah. Him and like didn't fucking Kendrick do some weird cringy shit too?
Yeah, he did. And that was pretty much the end of Marty Scurll's career. That was the end of I did love that people were shocked Joey Ryan might be a little creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, really, you don't weird. Say Joey Ryan is weird. Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, isn't that the guy that does all the penis stuff?
Yes.
In the ring. Yeah.
In fact, when I went to WrestleMania, there was one show that the guy who was booking all of our shows was just he's a savant at organizing.
Yeah.
And actually says, okay, so for this one, I already know what everyone's going to say, but I have to present you with all of your options. We can either go see whatever the show was that we saw, or we can go to not Joey Janela. We can go to blanking on his name. I just said it like five times.
Joey Ryan.
Thank you. Or we can go to Joey Ryan's penis party.
What?
Yes. With inflatable penises, penis
man.
druids.
What a
in
creepo.
Fact, at All In, there were penis druids.
That's gross.
And it's like, dude, what made any of you think this is a good idea? Like,
Yeah,
which one of you arrived to the arena and was told you're going to be penis druid number 3, and you went, okay?
yeah, that's just as gross as like when they let or when they I don't think it was his idea, but they had Orlando Jordan like in TNA like go on stage like in nothing and then squirt lotion all over himself.
Oh, Taz on commentary was hilarious, though. He saved that whole thing.
What did he say?
He's like, oh, he's shooting some sort of a white substance on himself there, and looks like he's rubbing it in right now. Just,
It was just weird. I was like, okay, like, dude, no one, everyone's okay with you being homosexual in wrestling. Like, no one has a problem with it. Like, you've worked with lots of people who already know, and they're cool with working with you. You don't have to go so over the top. Like, that's a really kind of a weird flex. I don't even know if that's a flex. That's just weird.
someone mentioned, well, they're doing a Lady Gaga thing. Now, as a Lady Gaga fan, I don't remember that moment. Like, the weirdest she got was the meat dress. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's like them doing the spot in the South Park episode where Randy Marsh is like Lord, and they tell him to do all that weird stuff that I'm not going to talk about because YouTube will the algorithms will find it and be all upset. I don't know if you remember that, but it was pretty weird.
Oh, I remember.
Um, funny but weird.
Like when he's teaching Stan how to edit so that he's Lord.
Yeah, I am Lord. Yeah. Feeling good on a Wednesday. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, I'm impressed with anyone who's feeling good on a Wednesday. That day is rough.
I love that Lord actually like watched that episode, like all the episodes where he was Lord, and she thought it was fucking hilarious.
Good.
I was like, good for you for like not thinking like it wasn't an attack on Lord. It was just weird.
It was
In
just
fact, they were always talking about how like Lord was great the whole time.
well, plus, if you want South Park to leave you alone, don't let them know it bothers you.
Yeah, like Robert Redford.
Right.
Boy, he was not happy with that episode, that early episode where they did like the film festival, and then like
Yes.
had everyone covered in poo gas.
Or what was it? It wasn't on South Park, but when Beyonce played the Super Bowl, a
Yeah,
picture came out of her that just was not flattering. And here's the thing, it would have been a meme that lasted, I don't know, 2-3 months. But nope, Beyonce asked that the internet take this down.
oh, yeah, the internet's gonna like completely go the opposite direction.
So now every year on the Super Bowl, we post that picture.
I bet you Janet and Justin are very happy because it took attention away from their weird shit.
Right? Like, oh, thank God she asked the internet to be nice. That's going to take all the attention away from us.
So you know what's funny about the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson spot at the Super Bowl?
Nothing really happened.
So when that happened, like Americans flipped the fuck out over it, right?
Right?
I was living in England at the time, and I was watching the game in England like really, really like early in the morning. And people in England were like, what? So her her blouse opened and it popped out. Who cares? Like that was the whole thing because like the English don't give a shit about like nudity over there. So it was like a huge ordeal over here. And then when I was watching it over there, everyone's like, why are the Americans complaining? What the hell? What's the big deal?
I'm just picturing some dude at an English pub going, "Oh, so her knickers came off and they went tits up. What's the big problem there?"
Yeah, that's pretty much what the general consensus of that was over there. Everyone's like, what's the problem? Like, who cares? But like if you try to bring like anything violent over there, they don't like that. It was really weird because over here they don't give a shit about violence, right? Like, you know, look at like the ridiculousness of the Terrifier movies and how gross those movies are. They're not that gross. It's gross for the sake of gross, which I don't like anyway. But
I was actually telling someone, I think we actually spoke about it. Those movies tend to bore me.
They're not good movies.
Because
That's
I'm
the
like,
thing.
I saw what you have to offer in the first 30 minutes.
Well, the first movie didn't even have a plot, right? You know, and then stuff happened behind the scenes that I'm not going to get into, but so that automatically just pissed me off too. And then then I watched the movie. I'm like, so what happened? Because I want to see what happened. And the movie was just boring. Like, and it wasn't even the actor's fault. Because I've met David Howard Thorne, the guy that plays Art the Clown now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great dude. Like, he's a super nice guy, and like, he's just a nice guy. And I did meet Lauren Lavera from the Terrifier 2, like briefly, because I was actually hanging out with Catherine Corcoran at the time, and so I kind of just crossed paths with her, and she was nice. Like, I didn't really talk to her much. I just said, "Hey, how's it going?" And she's a lovely person. So I don't know. Like, those movies they're not good, and it's also really sad and pathetic when you have to like pull a William Castle bullshit for your movie because you know that it's not going to do well in theaters, so you have to be like making up a bunch of falsified like stories about how people are getting sick all over America when they go to the theaters and watch Terrifier 2. People are getting sick in the movie theaters and puking outside and all this. That's the bullshit that he pulled with that movie. And it's
Which
like,
is
none of us,
objectifiably false.
the only people that are buying this shit are easily led automatons that fucking don't understand that it's a goddamn work.
It's work, bro.
Yeah, it was. I mean, so that's a big reason why I don't like those movies. And it's just like, one, I didn't like it anyway because of stuff that went on behind the scenes, and then also I didn't. The movie just wasn't very good, and also, like, I don't like gore for the sake of gore. Like gory movie when it's like actually makes sense to be gory. There's a purpose for the gore. It's fine. Like, I'm not a prude. But to just have, oh, look at this, let's make this as disgusting as we can for the sake of disgust, like, that's just cheap. That's like that's a cheap pop. Like, it's bullshit. You know what I mean? And not even in a good way, cheap pop. It's just cheap.
So
And
to
yeah,
no, go ahead.
let's say, and then the William Castle thing on top of it was sad and pathetic.
So to bring us around to it just got too far. At Bound for Glory, they had Monsters Ball. It was so the concept of Monsters Ball was the competitors are locked in a room, pitch black, and they're not allowed to eat, drink water, or sleep for 24 hours, which right there makes it over the top dumb. But on Bound for Glory, they show all the doors opening, and everyone does the whole, ah, the light, ah. And you're just watching this going, okay, but you're still just having a hardcore match. Like, you didn't need this added, I don't believe you.
That's really dumb.
Although the first one I ever saw, all I know is it had Jeff Hardy in it. And the reason I know that is Don West. God bless him. I love Don West for moments like this. He said, you look at Jeff Hardy and wonder how many times has he been locked in a room with no light, no food, no water for 24 hours. And you're like, what are you implying?
I was like, look, what is he doing? Looking at his rap sheet?
Right. Like, the man worked for WWE for a long time. I got an odd feeling he was staying at the Four Seasons.
Yeah. They probably put him up in the Waldorf Astoria or whatever the fuck hotels. Nah,
Like
probably not. But
at the minimum, it was a Holiday Inn.
yeah, it wasn't the Washington. What was that hotel from like the Jimmy Snuka Dark Side of the Ring?
Oh, right.
The Washington like ghetto hotel or whatever it was.
Like,
It looks like.
they still had key cards. He wasn't using a physical key. I know that.
Yeah, that's really funny. Anywho,
Actually, that match had Rhino in it. Now that I think about it,
I love Rhino.
yeah, it was Moose, Steve Macklin, Rhino and PCO.
I love PCO too.
He's fun. He's like the character who's just so much fun right now.
You know what I would love to do on like one of the seasons of my show? I would love to have Rhino gore me through a table.
That'd be so cool.
That would be awesome. I would get so much trouble from my wife if I did that. But it's a little more like it's a little safer when it's like that. When it's like a
in that environment.
cinematic environment as opposed to like in the ring. Because it's a lot more controlled in the cinematic environment, you know.
Well, plus she doesn't have to be made aware of it right away.
Not till it airs.
And then you look over and say, I forgot to tell you.
I'd be like, I didn't know it was gonna happen. Some bitch came in here and speared me through a table.
And I would have told you right away, but we were all having a lovely pasta dinner, and I didn't want to ruin it.
That's great. Oh shit. So what else do we have on our agenda?
You know what? Just for fun, Jordan Grace won the 20-person intergender Call Your Shot gauntlet.
Okay.
And she did it by eliminating Bully Ray, who also was the person who beat her up when he first arrived.
Wow. Cool.
And Jordan Grace got huge.
Yeah, she's crazy. She's like strong, huge, big, muscular.
Oh, they call her the Juggernaut? She earned that name.
Oh. Does she say that? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Well, she didn't quite do that well.
She tried.
No, that is still the best. It's unfortunate because I love the 90s X-Men TV show.
Yeah.
I want to hear Juggernaut say that.
I don't think that Disney's going to let him say that on X-Men.
I know
97.
they can't, but like I also have most of the episodes memorized, so I know when Juggernaut's fighting Wolverine and Colossus comes in to help, he's not going to say it, but still every fiber of me wants to hear it.
That's awesome. Oh, man.
But no, it sounds like that was wrestling for the week.
All right. Well, we've got a lot to... Next Saturday will be the Saudi pay-per-view at like 1 p.m.
And we have our watch-along that we're planning on doing, Nick Aldis versus Cody Rhodes at All In.
Yeah. When are we doing that? Next week?
We can do... I was thinking we either do the first week of the month or the last week of the month and just make that like a watch-along day.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, we're just going to like... What are we going to do? Just pull it up on YouTube and then pop into here and then do it?
Yeah, it's on Facebook. So I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it where it's either for free, you can find it online, or it's on Peacock, the WWE network or whatever. Because I'm drawing the line at the idea, oh yes, you can subscribe to Ring of Honor. Like, no.
Nah, even more wrestling that I don't have time to watch. I'm not going to pay for it. I can't pay for cable like right now because of production costs for my show. So that's going to have to wait.
Yeah, it's one of those. I'm trying to make it where if it's not something you would normally already have as a wrestling fan, then it's not something I'm going to say you have to go get to join us in this.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll do that. Just remind me so I don't forget that we're doing that. That way I can have it prepped up because I can pull it. Like, cool thing is when we do it, I could be right here, sitting right here, looking at my other computer over here, watching it. So I don't have to like have my screen like. So that'll, yeah, even though it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, cool. Just remind me when we're going to do that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for us tonight. And you can watch Fantastico, Disaster Piece Theater. I know it's backwards, but you use your imagination. You can watch Fantastico, Disaster Piece Theater, my show on Troma Now exclusively right now. And we're at, I think, episode 4's Watch Along November 3rd. And that'll be fun. We do a Twitter thing and we do spaces right after. But yeah, get the Troma Now app. You can watch the season 1 and then at the first every month you get a new episode of season 2 until I run out. So I think we have 4 more episodes. So I think like the season finale comes in March. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So Troma Now, $5 a month. Your first month free. There you go. That's it. I plugged the app and the show. So yeah. All right, everybody. That's it for us for tonight. And this will go up on YouTube. We haven't done the YouTube stuff in a while. So
No.
I'll actually have a new screenshot too, which is kind of cool. Although
Oh
you can
yeah.
see my messy ass office back behind me. It doesn't look that way all around. It's just this section of it where all my trauma props and crap are. So yeah, you can watch this. You can watch this on YouTube, and then it'll be all on your. Obviously, you guys will be watching this or listening to it on Spotify. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. So anyway, hosting shows of a champion. Yeah. So that's it for us, for legendary luchador Gringo Fantastico and my awesome, more organized co-host,
Jason the Turtleneck Hilton.
This has been
Headlines, Headlocks, and Hijinks.
That's it. That's good. We've got this thing where like I say the line and then you say the line and then I say the line and then you say the line.
No,
And
we built a system.
And we actually kept it like about 2 hours like we wanted to do.
Exactly.
That's awesome. All right, guys, take it easy and we'll talk to you on Spaces on Wednesday, and you can hear the next episode next week. Later. Thank you for joining us.